following is an 18PR production.
All right, quiet Studio A. Quiet on the set. Control room?
All set. Edit wave rolling. Tracks are hot.
Mic check, sweetie pie.
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2, 3.
Michael, give me a sound check.
Hello, check, 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 check. All right, team, let's give it our best.
Thank you, Michael. All set. Action.
Well, howdy, y'all. The Free Range Texan podcast is underway. So here he is, our host, a real free range Texan himself, Michael Sean.
The Free Range Texan Podcast, episode 36. We're going to visit some places we've not been in a while, as this episode contains, among other things, one of our Ain't Love Grand files. We had some requests for that. Foxy, the Wonder Dog, our head of security, is on duty, as usual. On our last episode, we didn't get a chance to mention it, but during the production of that episode, Foxy, the Wonder Dog, chased off a man in uniform that was apparently attempting a frontal assault on our studios here at 18PR. Yeah, well, it was a mailman. But you can't be too careful, can you, Foxy? Good dog. I find myself wanting to relate some things about episode 36 that, well, frankly, I've never said before about our Free Range Texan podcast. As all of you know, we traditionally end all of our episodes with a trip to Michael Sean's campfire. This one is no different, but the campfire is different. While we have always made no bones about the fact that we're an adult program dealing with adult humor and adult situations, we've all along known that if you had youngsters in the room or your vehicle, you didn't have to be concerned about what would be said on the Free Range Texan. At the end of our program, this campfire is different. It is a true story that is told using the actual words of the man who lived it and survived to tell the tale. It is graphic, but deserves to be told. An intense Michael Sean's campfire that may not be suitable for younger listeners at the end of our podcast. Welcome aboard, everyone. Let's saddle up and get ready to ride. We cautiously stepped out of our time machine. We carefully searched the horizon. Not an analog microphone in sight. Then, there, laying in the rocks, gleaming barely in the gray light of dawn, laid a digital mic. We had never seen anything quite like it. Inspired by what we had found, we began to search for radio stations. But quickly, we discovered they had all been seized by large corporations and were being run by cold and lifeless computers. We knew what we had to do. Have digital microphone will travel. You're riding with the Free Range Texan podcast. Well, I haven't had a chance to tell you about this much, but our store, the Free Range Texan House of Treasures, has been undergoing a dramatic facelift. And it's not all the way done yet, but one of the things we have been really diligent about working on is our music department. And I will tell you, you will have to search far and wide to find a collection, Texas-based singers and songwriters, and some great Texas music, starting out with the artists that we have had as guests on our Free Range Talent File here on the Free Range Texan podcast. But if that weren't enough, we decided to just carry it on because we have a powerful display and it continues to grow of great Texas music. So if you're looking for a gift idea that is really unique and truly Texan, you should check this out. You go to freerangetexan.net and you scroll down and you'll find the Free Range Texan House of Treasures. It's all there. You'll see what I mean. freerangetexan.net.
Michael, I'm sorry to disturb you, but you got a call from upstairs.
Upstairs? You mean like 18PR?
Yes.
Well, do they know that I'm in the middle of a podcast?
Yes, but I really think you should take this one.
You're probably right. Let's give them what they want. Okay, thanks a million, doll, and put them through. Michael Sean in Studio A. Who's calling?
Mr. Freely.
Mr. Freely from upstairs at 18PR.
Mr. Sean, it has come to our attention that you are not promoting the social media aspects of the podcast.
Oh, well, we talk about our Facebook page, and we ask them to visit our Facebook page and give us a thumbs up. You have a vast audience. You should be asking them to share on the social media about the Free Range Texan podcast. To share our podcast? What a concept. What would I do without you guys?
If your audience member has a Facebook page, they should share that they've been listening to the Free Range Texan podcast.
Wow. What about sharing freerangetexan.net? There's a podcast player right there, and they can see the rest of what's going on.
If they have an Instagram account, they should snap a picture of it and post it. And of course, has a Twitter account. They should, within 140 characters, talk about the freerangetexan.net and the podcast.
So we can be tweeted here, far, and yon.
Yes.
Clearly, you are part of the brain trust at 18PR, Mr. Freely.
And there's one more thing that I'd like to discuss with you.
What is that?
We believe that you are doing a fantastic job as the host of the Free Range Texan podcast.
Say again?
We believe that you are doing a fantastic job as the host of the Free Range Texan podcast.
Oh, shucks.
So we encourage you to keep it up.
Hello? Well, that was just another encouraging phone call there from the top of the heap up there. Share the podcast, will you? And now, it's time for one of our favorite segments on the Free Range Texan. Ain't Love Grand File. Andy and Shirley Clattenhoff live in West Texas. They are from a long-time West Texan farm family. Andy is an old friend, and so is Shirley. We've thought for a long time they would be perfect for our Ain't Love Grand file.
Okay.
It's the internet. We don't have to worry about it.
Will you put it on here and then you put it onto your podcast?
No.
Well, then how if it's not on?
I edit out the dirty words and then I put it on my podcast.
Okay, so I mean it's...
The off-color statements, I take those out too.
That would be probably
and the stories about Andy that may or may not be true.
Oh.
No, I'll probably leave those in.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, and I don't care if it's on or not. Okay. Well, let's see. We met, our first get-together was...
in August at Labor Day.
Yeah, the Labor Day telethon.
When was this?
78.
Yeah.
Okay.
How'd y'all meet?
We were both working, our CB clubs, because I was good-looking, I had long red hair, but I was more like...
Still good-looking.
More like an introvert.
At least to me.
Because there was a dance hall in Fort Worth over on the east side. And we met there because that's where they were having the telethon.
Now, was Andy a good dancer? Well, I mean...
Not when I first met
him. We met at a dance hall. I'm assuming
we were at a dance hall. We were having a Jerry Lewis Theater, Jerry Lewis... Telethon.
Okay. So there wasn't a lot of dancing at first.
Oh, no, this was just a telethon, and I was selling food, and he was a clown, going around shooting everybody with a bottle of water.
Andy's kind of been the sheriff of things ever since.
Yeah, kind of. So he came around the deal, he took the apron, and he threw it at this kid that was working with me. He said, you can't take care of it, I'm going to take her out for some fresh air. And we walked out, and he walked me around, we talked in the parking lot. And like I said, I was 35, 36.
Oh, so you were 35 or 36 when you and Andy first met?
Yeah.
And you had both been married once before?
Mm-hmm. That was in August. November, he asked me to marry him. In the end of December, we were married. 4 months.
So before the year was out?
28th of December.
So how many years have you been married?
Be 41 the 28th of December.
All these years later, your marriage has lasted. How is that so?
It says you trust a higher power. Yeah.
When I met her, she was so meek and timid, and she let everybody and anybody that wanted to run all over her.
That's not the Shirley Clattenhoff I know.
I know, because she's hung around me too long. I've taught her, do not let people walk on you. Stand up for yourself. She was independent when I married her because she'd been, she took care of all the books and she took care of everything.
When you say I do, it's I give you everything. Then you find someone who actually has a soft touch and listens to you. And
we're talking about Andy, right?
We're talking about Andy.
All right.
He didn't walk out on me.
She married the prince in white armor, or whatever it's called.
Now, his mother didn't like me, but then she did do my wedding, so and she loved me.
From the time that you married her, in the same year that you met her, up until when I intended a wedding for the renewal of your vows, how many years later was that?
40.
40 years later, the two of you go back to the altar just to remind everybody
that we did it. We made it.
Yeah.
Twisted my arm.
Not that only that you made it 40 years, but how much you still loved each other.
Yes, that was your.
Whose idea was it to renew your vows?
I was the one that said something to her story. The first.
For the record, I would like to state that Andy raised his hand.
Don't tell her this because she'll get the big head, but she's a pretty good gal.
Have you decided she's a keeper?
Some of these days I will. If you
When it's too late.
If you remember, I said something up at the altar. I told her, I said, I love you since the day I met you. And I said, I'll love you till the day I die. So I guess that answered your question.
Invite you to the Free Range Texan blog, where we have pictures of Andy and Shirley, pictures from yesterday, and pictures from today. Great friends, and it was fun to share them with you. That's all at freerangetexan.net. Information about this edition of Ain't Love Grand, go to freerangetexan.net. And on the blog, you can contact us at info@freerangetexan.net. In the meantime, we always want you to remember, ain't love grand. Hello, this is Michael Shawn. You know, the world of advertising and public relations has changed immensely over the last few years. Today's business owners, corporate executives, corporate trainers, from the mom and pops to the top Fortune 500 companies, have a whole new set of needs. At 18PR, we specialize in many of those needs. You need what you need, and you want what you want, and you need it in a timely fashion. The people at 18PR have been on this roller coaster ride for over 3 decades and are figuring some things out. But it wasn't until the last couple of years that we rebuilt our playbook, bringing on board vital and new assistance in our creative services. And that's where you come in and win. From our clean, clear digital recording studio to our team of strategic media planners, 18PR's goal is to listen and help you find what you need in today's complex multimedia marketplace. Perhaps you could benefit from a fresh new face. Developing radio, television, print, oh sure. But the on-ramps to today's information highway can be a whole nother challenge. From social media to podcasting, let us help. You can find out about 18PR at a-teampr.com. And additionally, there's a link on the freerangetexan.net website because 18PR produces this program as well. So think about it and then make a move. And maybe you could hire the A-Team. Have digital recording device will travel where the past, present, and future collide. The Free Range Texan Podcast. The following story is true and may contain content that is intense and graphic in nature. It may not be suitable for younger listeners. Parental discretion is advised. Hi, this is Michael Shawn. Welcome to our campfire. This campfire story is true. It's about the heartbreaking relocation of Native Americans from a number of tribes originally moved from all over the United States southwest to the Arizona desert. Then, following what would later become the Trail of Tears, what started out as hundreds of American Indians, including Geronimo, were transferred across the southern United States to Alabama and Georgia and parts of Florida, where years later, after that, it was decided that they would once again be uprooted and moved to reservations in Oklahoma. James Scott was one of these Native Americans who at 110 years of age died in 1944. At the age of 7 and 8 years old, he and his family were part of what the Indians called the Big Walk. His parents, among so many others, died during the removal to Oklahoma. And the following is his words, word for word, a recollection of the Big Walk. One morning, when it was already getting cold, a runner came to our village. Out of breath, he was talking about talking papers. They are sending people with talking papers. People are already disappearing. What's left behind is being stolen. They are sending us to a burial ground. They keep talking about Judgment Day. We need to either hide or mix with the other tribes up north. These demons are shooting Indians if we resist. I have to warn the next village. He left. And even though I was just a boy, I knew that something very bad was about to happen. A dark cloud hovered over us. I don't know how many days went by. We started gathering provisions. We talked about other tribal towns. The earth trembled. Even the trees seemed to be shaking. The hovering dark cloud brought the evil men sooner than we expected. The soldiers started shooting. The whites rounded us up like cattle and put shackles on the strong men. There was a silent cry, no words, so devastating. Silent prayers. Then low humming of the chant of communal encouragement. Gun butts were hitting mouths. The morning cold winds blew like Judgment Day. We did not know where we were heading. There were talking papers, more talking papers. The whites would keep on bringing talking papers, and tragedy always followed. Along the trail we split up. I lost my mother and father and ended up with an uncle. Little babies sometimes would have their heads bashed against a tree. Strong, shackled men were used for pulling wagons and chopping wood. Those who got sick were left or dumped by the soldiers. There was hardly any food. People were hungry, cold, and frostbitten. The whites roasted meat, and the aroma made you want to die. Each time someone fell, they sacrificed, saying, "Here, take my blanket. I am going home." The chilling wind never left us. We have seen blizzards. Now we were in one. Even strong buffalo would not have survived such a winter. Somehow, the Creator was with us. Most of the time, children walked. However, sometimes they would be allowed to ride in a wagon with other folks, older people. About the time we reached Indian Territory, there were very few of us left. Mostly older children and shackled men. After our walk, there were no babies left. They killed the babies. Hardly any women made it. I only had one uncle left. We began with about 500 in our group, and we wound up with maybe 50 near Okima and Greenleaf, and places where we finished growing up. These places were near some Christian Indians who had already gotten there before us. The last day, I was always looking for it, but it did not come. I took 20 years for the nightmares to lessen. We will never forget. We have an actual photo of James Scott that is posted on our blog at freerangetexan.net. An eyewitness to the big walk. I'm Michael Shawn. Thanks for joining us at our campfire. Adios, my friends. I must tell you, so that I don't forget, our free-range Texan official campfire coffee mugs are in. Not just in time for Christmas. That's another story. You can see those priceless possessions on our website. Prize objects around finer campfires everywhere. The free-range Texan official campfire coffee mug. Hey, you don't want to be without one of those. Our free-range Texan podcast is being called the best little podcast in Texas. We're packing up camp on episode 36. We want to say a big thanks to Shirley and Andy Clattenhoff for sitting down with us. And remember, the place to find out more about the things you hear about on the Free Range Texan are all waiting for you on our website at freerangetexan.net. It's where our podcast, YouTube channel, and Facebook page, oh yes, and the blog, all come together. Submissions and or comments can be sent to info@freerangetexan.net. And last but not least, Foxy, the Wonder Dog, and the rest of us here, thank you in advance for sharing our podcast. Foxy, go get in the pickup. Take 'em home, sweetie pie.
Thank y'all for listening to the Free Range Texan podcast, produced at A-Team PR Studios out yonder in West Texas, with our host, who's been voted the hardest working man in podcasting, Michael Shawn. Feedback or submissions to our program can be submitted on our website, freerangetexan.net. That's freerangetexan.net. This is Sweetie Pie on behalf of Michael Shawn and the crew here in Studio A, where we're all looking forward to spending time with you on our next bi-weekly episode of the Free Range Texan podcast. Y'all come back now. You hear?
An A-Team PR production. End transmission.